Alright, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be hitting up arms and abs. So we're going to do what we do every arms and abs day. We'll start off with dips off the bench and superset that with easy bar curls before moving on to triceps push downs and spider curls. And then we'll finish arms off with overhead triceps extensions and dumbbell curls. And then for abs we'll do leg raises and decline crunches. Let's get to it. I don't think I ever really touched on the aftermath of the Arnold UK last weekend. Yeah, Samson came in better than what he had been at the Arnold Ohio. Unfortunately, he just didn't come in as tight as he needed to be to beat Harry. Interestingly though, I mean, obviously, he had split ways from Milos, but he's saying his wife prepped him. I'm not sure what happened there, but he definitely came in tighter. There's no doubt about that. I see Tyler Mannion did a breakdown, him and Harry, that he hadn't done for the UK Arnold, that he hadn't done for the Ohio. Which leads you to believe that, you know, it was much closer at the UK than it was at the Ohio, although I haven't seen a scorecard for the Arnold UK yet, so I haven't looked at the scorecard for it. But yeah, it was interesting, all right. So it was the and your man Akeem Williams looked absolutely fantastic again. Fair play to him. He really nailed it. So the next big one's going to be, I think it's the Arnold Brazil, or the Arnold South America is going to be the next big one. So it'll be interesting to see. You got to fancy Brandao for that. That guy really doesn't have any weak poses, as it were. He's like a very all round, and he's put on an immense amount of size in that little bit of time that he had off. So I really I'd have to fancy him for the win the South America. A lot of hype around Good Vito too, but it just, to me, Good Vito doesn't have the same balance in his physique that Brandao does. And then in the classic for the Arnold Classic for the classic division, you're gonna have to go with Ramon Dino. He's looking, you know, after coming in second at the Ohio, and with Wesley Vissers not being there, I can't see anyone else really challenging him for it, to be honest. But all good things. I think that's another 2 weeks or so, the Arnold South America, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Right, let's head up another set of this. Yeah, I have to say, I'd heard, I forget who it was now, there was someone online um, taking the piss out of Samson for saying that his wife was going to be his coach for the next show, maybe the next run of shows. And after the condition he brought in at the Arnold UK, I kind of thought to myself, his wife's been preparing his meals and doing whatever coaches he's been with in the past. She's been the one seeing and making notes of what all these people are, doing to, and how that changes his body, and she sees him day after day, meal after meal. So in a lot of ways, it makes sense that she's bound to have picked up a trick or two over the years, Actually seen, on a completely different note, seen a video that just went up there, two of my sort of favourite YouTubers in the fitness side of things. Just did a collab. I think it's the first time. I'm not sure if it's the first time they've ever done a collab. It's certainly the first time I've ever seen them doing a collab. Will Tennyson and Jeff Nippard. It was a good wee dynamic going on between the two of them. So there was, but yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see that collab happening. So it was the two very funny. They can be two very funny characters. So they can, and they work well together. It was an interesting collaboration to watch. So it was, and you could kind of tell. Or maybe it was just me. Maybe it's just the way it came across on camera. But it came across very much to me that Will Tennyson looked a bit starstruck. So he did. I remember one of Will's old videos being he had paid money for one of Jep Nippard's programs and made a video out of it, which was very interesting. So it was good to finally see the two of them together. So it was. Kind of wish, to be honest, I wish the two of them made more videos in the space of a week. The individual videos that they make are all very good, and you can tell there's a lot of effort and a lot of planning went into them. But I'd like to see just what I'm doing here more. They're just day-to-day training whenever they're not doing something specifically for YouTube. Just how do they train? Show me your workouts. Show me what your routine is over the course of a mesocycle or two mesocycles or whatever. And let's see how you actually do it. Don't just put it down into a program. How do you listen to your own body and stuff? Will be interesting. And I know Will and Jeff, you're both watching this exact channel, this exact video at this exact point in time, because why wouldn't you be watching some random guy from Ireland on fucking YouTube? But if you're listening, because I know you are, that's what you do next. Do more training videos. Right, let's hit up a last set of dips here and easy bar curls, and then we'll move on to push downs and spider curls. Went a good bit later there on the easy bar curls from where I've been at the last few weeks. I want to say it's 3 kilos later, but I tried to keep the tension on for more of each. Tried to keep the tension in the muscle a bit more rather than resting at the bottom. So whenever I go heavier at the bottom of every rep, take a wee bit more of a breather at that bottom, where those last 3 sets I was consciously trying to keep the tension on, not to rest too much at the bottom until I felt like I had no option, which I think was the last 3 or maybe 4 reps there. So yeah, it's another way to, sometimes you can save your joints a bit by doing that too. In fact, you definitely can. You reduce the weight, keep the tension on the muscle, so essentially you're getting the same stimulus. Essentially, you're getting the same stimulus, or the same amount of stimulus, but you're doing it just with a bit less weight. So different ways to skin the cat, as it were. And sometimes it can be good. Just that variation in and of itself can be beneficial to you, or at least I find it can be beneficial. So I do switch things up, keep it fresh, rather than like starting a whole new. I don't like to switch exercises up too often, to be honest. I've found, especially given the fact that I have limited equipment, that pull down is the bane of my life. Like, there's other exercises that I would like to do that I don't do, simply because I need the bench for the exercises, but I don't want to waste time pulling the pull down off the bench or whatever to do those other exercises. So because of that, because I don't have a plethora of equipment, I'm not in a commercial gym, I like to tend to stick to the same sort of set of exercises for longer periods of time. And if I do change it up, I prefer to change it up either between, like at the start of a new mesocycle, or sometimes I'll come the end of a mesocycle, I'll sometimes throw in a different exercise, but usually it's at the beginning. So usually it's at the beginning. Sometimes what happens is you throw a new exercise in at the beginning of a mesocycle, you give it sort of 2 or 3 weeks, you realise that it's not working for you, and you'll take it back out, maybe put something different in, or if it was an extra exercise and it's too much, then you just take it out, whatever. The good example of that was the leg press. Used to be, before I started doing these videos, it used to be on the leg press, I would have done 3 different, feet with a neutral stance, feet wide out and feet narrow, to try and hit all the parts of the quad and the adductors. But I took out the wide and the narrow and just kept in. Ultimately, the reason why I did that, the reason why I reduced it down to just 1 set, was because I was getting a whole lot of extra fatigue from doing the 3, because the leg press is a big heavy exercise. But essentially, when you're on a leg press, you're hitting your quads, you're hitting all your quads, you're hitting your adductors, you know what I mean? You're hitting everything, so you are. And so I was getting a whole lot of extra fatigue, but I was only getting minor benefits for hitting the adductors and hitting the outer part of the quad. You know, there was nothing that didn't warrant the fatigue that it was accumulating. Wasn't worth the small tiny benefit that doing using the different stances conveyed. The other thing is, and something after having done that, the different foot positions, one of the things that I also figured out was that because of your body shape, specifically the angle of your hips and the floor of your hips, different foot positions are more and less comfortable. So you essentially I can get less depth with my feet together than I can with my feet further out. and there's like a sweet spot where my feet, if my feet go too wide, then I'll get my butt lifts off the back of the bench. You know what I mean? And that's obviously not great. And if again, with things like toe angle and stuff, you know, I like to have my toes. I don't like my toes pointing. Same with a squat. I don't like my toes pointing just straight forward. I need my toes to sort of follow the angle of my hips out. All different things, different wee, you know, tweaks here and there. But yeah, that was a good example of one that I took out. You know, I added it in at the beginning of a mesocycle, and then after a few weeks, it was like, do you know what? I'm having to cut other things out because I'm just pooped all the time. So I am too much. So you take those out, and it allows you then as well to go heavier on the one variant of that you are using. Anyway, right. I'm going to get set up here. We'll do some push downs and spider curls. But you know, maybe add a couple of kilos in and see. Wonder. Forget what I had on last week now. I'm gonna have, this is a terrible thought. I'm gonna have to start making a note again of of what I'm using for each of the exercises. Maybe do a spreadsheet or something out and just bring it out and fill it in with me. Print it out and bring it in. I'm not one for, I don't understand all the different apps and stuff that you can get now for tracking your workouts. It takes so long to like open the app up and then bring up the keyboard and then, you know, type in and then move across. And to me, it's faster just to write the numbers into the, you know, pen and paper. Don't get me wrong, the apps are good. I've tried some of the apps before. You know, they're good at what to do, but it takes so long to do anything with them. So it does. In my head, it's easier, it's faster, more straightforward just to copy it in. And then if you want to, copy that across into a spreadsheet. And then from the spreadsheet, you can make whatever kind of graphs you want. That's the other thing about the apps. You always seem to be, I use Polar, so I do. And it's good app, tracks your heart rate, but everything, it gives you everything, all the data, it's pre-formatted and you have no access to the raw data. I want to be able to, like, what I would want to do is pull down a CSV file and then put that into Excel and actually track the statistics as I want to track them. You know, at the end of the day, you could be doing run charts and X bar and S, X bar and R charts. You get all sorts of stuff. You can apply different statistical methods to it to gauge, you know, how good your workouts. Essentially, you're gauging the quality of your workout. You could be gauging the quality of your workout. So you could, in a sort of semi-real time kind of way. You know, you could look back and see, oh well, this workout here wasn't as good. Why was that? You know, are we talking about special cause variation, or is there something changed in the process, or you could actually be doing useful things with those numbers. Or whenever you get whenever you use an app to compile all that data for you, you're just reading what they tell you. It means nothing in and of itself, right? I'm going to throw a few more kilos onto this, and then we'll do another set. Definitely think I'm going to have to get some more of the little progress plates for the different lifts. So some more of the half kilos, and I think some more of the 2.5s to see. Yeah, this is actually a good example of a time whenever this particular pull down machine, I would love to have something to replace that so that it's not attached to the bench. What I would love to do is the spider curls. I enjoy doing spider curls, but they're not exactly the best biceps exercise, to be honest. Pardon me, primarily because whenever you're at the bottom of the rep, the weight's acting straight down your arm. It's not acting against not actually putting any tension onto the biceps itself. And if I had something like a functional trainer instead of the attachment for the bench, I could be doing like cable curls on the bench. I think I'm going to fire another few kilos onto the curl here. So I think this is still lighter than what I was using last week, but in fact I know it is. I had those on there last week, didn't I? So I'm going to fire another couple of kilos onto this. We might only get 10 reps with that, but I don't care. Fuck it. You don't know. We'll just fucking try these things, and we'll fire a few kilos up. So I'll up this by 3 kilos, and I'll up this by 2.5 kilos, and we'll see how that goes up. pretty pleased with that. I think I got an extra 2 reps on the push downs. I would need to look back at that now for last week, but I'm confident that that's the same weight that I used on that. But last week I only did it for 10 reps, where I got 12 there this week, and that was the top weight that I used. I think I would need to look at that actually. I think that was the top weight that I used last week, but I did 15 reps with that instead of the 10 or 12 that I did last week. Although having said that, I did that weight for all 3 sets last week, only for the top set this week. Although to counter that, I did 15 reps with the 2 weights. The weight for the first two sets I did with 15 reps of that, as well as the last set. So yeah, probably at the end of the day it all probably comes out in a wash, so it does. But yeah, this is actually a good, if you look back over the last sort of 2-3 weeks of training, look back over those videos, what you'll see is I've made very little, if any, progress. Now, the last couple of weeks, now yes, we did that on purpose, even maybe for a few weeks before that as well. But yeah, we kind of did that on purpose. We took like a maintenance week to try and extend the mesocycle out. But that's a good way of knowing that you need a deload. So it is to look at your last sort of 2-3 weeks of training and see have your gains started to trail off or completely flatline. If that's the case, then it's a good indication that you need a deload. So it is. And by deload, you don't have to there's different ways to deload. I tend to favour half the number of reps for half the sets and half the weight. Sorry, half the weight for half the reps and half the sets. I tend to favour that kind of deload, but that's only because I try to schedule my deloads in around the times whenever I can spend time with my family, so school holidays or planned family holidays and stuff like that. So the rest of the year I'll try and extend the mesocycle out a little bit, or I don't mind if I plateau a little bit. But another way to deload would be to take, whenever you see your gains start to kind of flatline, you could just take a straight week off, not do anything. You could, another way to do it would be to don't use half the weight for half the reps and half the sets, but drop down, like take, 20% of your weight off, and do like 3 or 4 weeks, or 5 weeks even, like an entire cycle where you're, consistently training with like 30-40% less weight than you normally do, but keep the volume, keep your volume there, and then start a new mesocycle, and from the weight that you're at that point, use that weight to build back up again. And try and aim for, essentially what you're doing is you're going into like a maintenance phase where you're trying to maintain the gains that you've made in the previous mesocycle for 2 or 3 weeks. And then whenever you start your new mesocycle, then try and get back up to the weight that you were at before inside of the first sort of 2 weeks. So ever so slightly shorter. Try and get back up to your top weight ever so slightly shorter in the time that you've been training in the maintenance phase for. And then try and progress from there. The only thing with doing that is that you don't really give yourself a full, it's not really a full deload as such. So it's not, so you will accumulate fatigue, more significant levels of fatigue. But then it depends on the person, so it does. Some people can tolerate that, and they only need to back off a little bit, and then it gives them enough recovery space that they're able to then go at it for another 6 or 8 weeks or whatever. Other people need a bit more time to recuperate that, or to recuperate the fatigue that they've, not recuperate the fatigue, but to dissipate dissipate, that's the word I was looking for, to dissipate the fatigue that they've accumulated from a mesocycle. I tend to favour an approach, and I think I've talked about this in a previous video, I tend to favour an approach where you don't accumulate too much fatigue to begin with. So like I said before, in whatever video it was I said this in before, my best gains I've ever seen was whenever I was doing it was the bro split video, was whenever I was doing the bro split, but not training body parts once every 9 days or once every 9th day. That's when I seen my best growth. I did that for, I think it was about 1.5 years or a year. And I didn't take any deloads, didn't need to. So I didn't. I was able to consistently, over that space of time, consistently make progress on all my lifts. So I was. Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't week after week, but it would be like you'd get to a new weight, and then you'd spend the next maybe 2 weeks at that weight, maybe adding a rep, maybe adding 1 rep over the space of that 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you'd make a jump up. On the 3rd week, you'd make a jump up, and you'd maybe add another, 2 kilos, 3 kilos to it, and then you would be at that weight for a little while. But you were never at a weight for more than about, I think the longest I ever spent stuck on a weight was for 4 weeks. I want to say it was 4 weeks. You're always able to make, some sort of little, even if that meant just adding a rep in here or there, you're always able to make some sort of an intensification increase, whether it was weight, reps, form, whatever. But then it doesn't, that style of training it very much doesn't suit most lifestyles. Most people need to train by the week because that's the way the rest of their life is scheduled, usually because of fucking work. You're working 9 to 5, or you're 7 or 5 days a week, and you've got 2 days of a weekend. So you try to then, do your work and your workouts through the week, so that at the weekend, whenever you're not working, you're also not working out, so that you can actually get recovered from both of those things. Right, we're going to get set up here, and we'll do overhead triceps extensions and dumbbell curls, and then we'll head on, we'll do some abs. So all right, I'm going to do something really fucking stupid here, and I know it's really stupid, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to start off, just to see how many reps I can get, I'm going to start off with an extra, I think it works out an extra, what's that? An extra 4 kilos from what would normally be my top set in this. Now, I know it's stupid because the top set that I was using on the overhead triceps extensions, this is one of the overhead triceps extensions, by the way, I didn't mention that. The reason why I'm going to do that, be this stupid, is because the weight that I'm usually using with the overhead triceps extensions, it feels easy enough in the first few reps, and it's only really the last couple of reps whenever it really starts to grind out. So I'm essentially going to add quite a bit. It's something like a quarter of the amount of weight, or close to a quarter of the amount of weight. The top set would be I'm adding on again. Normally that's a bad idea, but I want to see. I'm also going to probably, for the second and third sets, I'm probably going to drop down. But the reason why I'm doing this is because my triceps are already warm from the previous 2 sets of exercise I'm doing, and I want to see just how many reps I can get before my form completely breaks down, to give myself an idea of, right, well, I need to drop back to keep the form, or I could actually be pushing myself a bit further with the weight that I am using. It'll just give myself a bit of a better idea of where I actually stand with regard to the weight. Fucking hell. Alright, so kind of surprised myself a little bit there. I think I got like, was it 8 reps or something with the 20 kilos. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that weight again and see how many reps I can get. And then on the last set, this will be like a bit of a reverse pyramid, I suppose. On the last set, we'll maybe drop the weight down and just try and rep out. I would need to look back at the video to see just what the form was like. But the first few reps anyway felt okay. Again, it can be hard to tell. Excuse me. It can be hard to tell, and that's a good reason why everybody should be recording their workouts, or at least some of their workouts, is to see what to actually look and see what their form looks like from the outside. Very, very easy to get stuck in your own head, and I've said this I don't know how many times now. Very easy to get stuck in your own head where you think you're doing it right, and then you look back and you're like, holy crap, that was awful. Or, you know, you think you're doing it awful and you look back and you're actually like, I'm holding back. I'm holding myself back because I think that the form is bad, when really it could be a lot worse. And the other thing is, don't forget, all the research at the minute showing that lengthened partials are exceptionally beneficial. So don't be afraid to go heavier and only get the lengthened partial part. Do you know what I mean? If your forms, for example, on the chest supported dumbbell rows on back day, it's not every rep I'm able to drive my elbows right back behind my back. But the fact of the matter is, that's an exercise that lends itself very, very well to a lengthened partial. So even if I'm only getting my arms up to parallel, or not even to parallel, I'm doing the most important part of that. That's the most important part of the rep done. So it is. So don't be afraid in your own training. Don't shy away from that. You know, just because you can't do an entire rep with a given weight doesn't mean you shouldn't be using that weight. And if you get stuck in your own head, throw an extra set on at the end with the heavier weight and do it as a lengthened partial, as a finisher, if you will, or an intensifier, a different type of intensifier. It fits in with that last video. I should have thought of that in the last video, shouldn't I? Yeah, so you can throw that in, you know, whenever you finish your set, so you've done in your head what that workout for that muscle would be. Go up and weight and throw in some lengthened partials, and that way you've covered all your bases. Never a bad thing, like. No, it's not. Right. I'm gonna have to change the battery in the camera here because it's flashing at me. So it is. So I'll change that, and then we'll head up another set. Holy fucking hell. Oh. So I think the 20 kilos for the overhead triceps extensions is pretty much the limits of where I'm at. I had to even compromise the technique a bit on the last, I think, two or three reps that last set, where I brought my hands closer together. But still all good. You're still working the tricep muscle, like, no matter where your hands are. I think I've talked about that before too. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop down. Maybe drop down to 16 kilos and just do the last set with I think it's 16 that I had on before. All those little progress plates anyway. We'll fire them on for the last set and just rep out and see how many reps we can get as a finisher. Biceps are getting a good old pump too. It goes the extra reps of the spider curls really they give me a fucking sick pump. So that all good. Again, that's another way you can sort of switch it up. Later reps, don't be afraid of doing that. You don't always need to go for more weight. Week on week, you can switch it up. You can switch up the variety by, like I said earlier, you can switch up the variety by dropping the weight down and doing a load of reps, getting the pump on. It's all good. Oh, that'll be the wave back. All right, that was a pretty good example of what I was talking about, reverse pyramids, and the sort of 3 ways to add use intensifiers, or 3 different intensifiers video that I made. So essentially, I started with a much heavier weight than I would normally use, because the triceps were already warm, and then essentially pyramided down to the weight that I would have used. That's the weight that I would have used, and that I did use last week for the top set. So by doing that, and instead of getting 12 reps with that last weight, I think I only managed 9. But that means that it has worked. I've milked every last bit of juice out of the triceps by starting heavy and going down the way rather than starting light and going up the way. I was able to basically just leave myself with nothing in reserves. My triceps are absolutely fried now, which ultimately is what you want. So it is. So that's an example of using a reverse pyramid as an intensification technique. So it is. Granted, I didn't probably, for it to be a true reverse pyramid, not true because it was a true reverse pyramid, but I didn't go heavy weight, less heavy weight, lightest weight. I went heavy weight, same heavy weight, but for maybe a few less reps, and then down to the lighter weight for less reps again. Anyway, I'm going to get set up here now for leg raises, and we'll do some leg raises, and then we'll do some decline crunches, and then we'll call it a day. Whew. There we go. Those felt exceptionally good. Those reps today. I have to look. This is one of those exercises for me. The reps always feel really, really good. Now, whenever I look back, my knees are bent and everything's moving at different rates. It's just never as good looking back on it than what it is in my head when I'm doing it. So that's what I'm saying. It's very beneficial for everyone to video at least some of your workouts and look back, review, and see, make a comparison to how good did it feel and how good does it look. Marry those two things together, and it'll give you a better idea of just how good your workouts actually are. Either use more weight or use better form, but that's part of the balance that it's that balancing act is what you're always essentially doing. You're trying to see how much weight you can lift while still keeping your form reasonable, and then making adjustments as you go. Right, let's crack on with another set of leg raises here. Gotta fucking hate that. I lost count. I think that was 10 reps. Well, it feels like a lot more. I think it was only 10 reps that time, but I lost count. So I thought, I'll have to look back at the tape and see, the video and see. So I will. Oh. 2 sets down, 1 set to go.
Oh, fuck.
Fucking did it again. Lost track. Suppose there's another metric of how good your workout is. If you're not able to lose track of how many reps you're doing in the middle of a set, yeah, that must mean the required amount of blood is no longer being diverted to the old fucking brain. Right? I'll get set up here and we'll do decline crunches. Alright, I'm really starting to flag here now, which is good. It means we've taken everything out, as it were. Yeah, I think I'm just going to blast through the last couple of sets of this here and not do too much more talking, so not, because time really is starting to get away from me now a little bit. All right, that was a pretty good fucking last set out there. I think I got 9 reps. They're 10 minutes probably. But I doubled the weight that I was using. Always a good thing. So there's that. They weren't the best reps in the world, mind you. I was taking it, especially toward the end, having a wee bit of a rest on the decline, on the stretch part. But I'm gonna feel that in the morning. So I am. Right. I am gonna get broke down and set up for the next session, which will be legs, and then we'll do the wrap up. All right, that's gonna be it for arms and abs. All in all, pretty good workout today. We did drop down a little bit of weight at the beginning of the workout, so it did, but we compensated with reps. So at the end of the day, it all come out in a wash. The overhead triceps extensions, I was over the moon with. We pretty much added another, I think, 4 kilos to the overhead triceps extensions, and really took it to failure, as close to failure as you can probably get. In fact, it was the failure. So it was on all 3 of those sets, which was really, really good. And then with the decline crunches, I doubled the weight in that last set. So I'm over the moon with that. I'm no doubt I'm gonna feel that in the morning. Really, really, I got the failure. It's the first time I think I've ever gotten the failure on a crunch. So it is. So all in all, really, really happy. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, feed the anabolic algorithm with the comments, shares, likes, and subscribes, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.